Women, and I got to say this, that women, we do, and I was guilty of it too. We always think we're so fabulous, darling, until we're asked the hard questions, like what makes you valuable, and don't give me what you do, how many degrees you've accomplished, what you've accomplished, your good credit, your sex tricks, your nice body, and your pretty face. Take those off the table and tell me who you are. I did a tour, and that was the first question I asked every tour stop that I went. I said, y'all know me. Y'all paid to be here. Tell me who you are. And I made as many as I could get up and tell me who they are, but only, I would say 99% of them could not tell me who they are. They told me what they did. They told me they were a mother. They told me about their career. They told me I'm God-fearing. They told me basic stuff. I said, now go tell me, take off the mask and tell me who you are. What makes a man want to marry you? And don't mention any of those things.
I never imagined my public healing would inspire others to heal across the world.
I thank you for using him to reach the world with a message of hope in relationships.
But your life does not.
God, you are my publicist. We laugh. We share the unadulterated truth.
He said, not only have I not divorced you, I ain't exposed you.
Oh! We didn't marry fans, we married forever. And we wanted forever to act like a fan.
Reveal her, Jesus.
I will not compromise on getting a woman of God.
You don't have to.
And Father, I declare for his future wifey, thank you for preserving her.
This season, I declare miracles and manifestations.
See, you selling scripts.
And you're unique. You ain't like nobody else. I noticed that right away. You being true to who you are, you're going to attract, it's a Hebrew word, hayil, and it was translated wealth, and it means people, it means men, it means resources, and it means means.
I'm LaTerras R. Whitfield, and this is the Dear Future Wifey podcast.
Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm your host, LaTerras R. Whitfield. Listen, are you still shacking up with us? This is season 6. Come on, y'all. Can we get a commitment? Hit that subscription button and subscribe. We're on our way to hitting 400,000 subscribers, and we need everybody to do your part. Share this video. Tell people to subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. Listen, I know y'all been hearing me talk about our trip to Los Cabos, our healing retreat with my buddy Paul Blashe Williams. Make sure that you go ahead, visit the link in the description and reserve your spot. November the 9th to the 12th, we're partnering with I Can't Wait to Travel for this amazing retreat. And those of you that got upset because we filled up when we were going to Jamaica, here's your chance. You're getting the chance to know it now, so get your spot. We have limited space available, so get it. I think it's only $100 to reserve your spot as a deposit, so make sure you go do that. Listen, as y'all know, this is my personal journey as I discover, uncover, recover love. And so we're gonna talk about some things, but this episode is extremely personal to me because it's exactly what I'm looking for in a woman. So without further ado, welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Y'all been asking me to get this queen on here. Put your hands together for Miss April Mason, y'all.
Hello, darling.
Okay, see her voice? Hello, darling. Hello.
Whatever do you mean?
See, look at that. See, she's already exuding all this femininity. April, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic.
Okay.
My world is good.
Rihanna, can you hear her as she's talking in her sultry voice? Is that coming through the microphone? All right. So men, get ready to be mesmerized as you listen to her. Yeah, they are. She said people be buying her videos, not even listening to what she's saying, just listening to her say it.
I didn't know I had the gift, the voice gift.
So you said men have gotten your videos and said what?
They say, I'm not really listening to what you're saying. I'm listening to your voice. And so I'm like, did you get anything out of it? Were you empowered? Were you encouraged? I mean, like, any lessons? They're like, no.
Well, that's the opposite of these women, because these women absolutely adore you. April, if I could tell you how many people have DM'd me saying, get April. Aww. Even when I did the event at New Birth, what's our buddy that connected us? His name escapes me. Chris. Chris was like, you know who you need? You need to get April. Aww. And I was just like, well, I'm going to get her on a personal episode because he was trying to get you on the panel, and I said this would be a full out conversation because you have so much wealth to offer.
Thank you.
I stated in the introduction is I'm wanting a woman that operates fully and unashamedly in her feminine energy. Okay. Reason being is that, I grew up in the hood, so a lot of women in the hood, they're a little hard. I used to say, well, y'all hard. I didn't realize what I was calling hard was them operating in their masculine energy. The girls that come and punch you and run off, the girls that, you be like, dog, I gotta wrestle you or something. So as I've grown older and matured, I found myself leaning towards women that are soft but strong. They're strong because they are self-assured. They are what society would consider a boss chick, but she understands how to rest in her femininity. Mm-hmm. So today's episode is titled "The Power of Femininity." Do you know a little something about that?
Just a tinge.
Just a tad bit.
Just a tinge, because the woman that you described, it sounds like a woman who knows how to operate as the queen and the princess.
Explain. We just gonna jump in there. So how can you operate as the queen and the princess?
You see, think about this. When you think about a queen, do you think of anything soft and gentle? When you think of a queen,
no.
Or do you think dictatorship? She rules. I'm a little nervous to be around her. I have to kind of bow down because I don't know what the queen gonna do. But a princess,
yeah,
daddy will go over the queen to get the princess what she wants. Daddy's little girls.
Right.
Mom said, no, you can't have it. Daddy, please. Mommy, I know mommy said no, and all you got to do is give the eyes to daddy, please. And daddy will say, oh, she can have it.
So hold on, April, is that what you teach women?
To be the queen and the princess?
Yeah.
Yes. Because the queen, your energy speaks before you.
Right.
Your energy precedes you. So you don't have to tell anyone that you're a woman about your business. You don't have to tell anyone that you got it going on. People can tell by how you present yourself, because I teach my ladies that you are the temperature in the room, not the thermostat. The thermostat can be changed, but I set the temperature in this room. So when you are the queen and the princess, you can walk in a room full of, what do you want to call us? Let me think a better word to call them. Powerful men.
Are you about to say high value? You was thinking about saying high value?
I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
Term. Why I can't stand it?
I can't stand the term. You know why I can't stand the term?
Why?
Because people don't know the difference between high value and high earning.
And that's what I said. And I said they don't know the difference between high earning and high values. Mm-hmm, and so we talk about a high value, attaching it to monetary things, but does he have high values?
Yes.
And that's what we don't talk about. Even when we talk about the high value man, they never talk about, does he respect his mama? Does he respect himself? Does he honor you? Does he honor God? It has nothing to do with anything that brings a value system that you need in a marriage.
Yes, it's all about the paycheck. And I believe right now, we see what's going on. And I think men that make six figures think they're high value, and I believe women that think that they make the six figures and have it going on paper that they're wife material. But then nobody has done anything. If you think about it, all of this work people have done to become successful, but the area of your life you really need to be worried about, you have done nothing to prepare to be a wife or a husband. So now, if you notice when you watch these talk shows and these women come on up, I can't find a man because I am a software engineer and I make this and this and that and the third. You never hear them say, you know what, Tamron Hall, you know what, Steve Harvey or whoever, I am single because I can't find a man who needs a soft and gentler woman, a man that wants a woman who is interdependent, resourceful. She is a woman who knows how to be in the queen and princess energy. She's a woman that is agreeable, but she will challenge you. I'm a woman that knows how to be what it means to be a woman. Help me find somebody who needs a woman like that. No, I don't cook all the time, but I can make sure that you eat. I'm a woman that I'm a good for his peace legacy and his portfolio. Steve, can you help me find somebody? Do we ever hear that?
Absolutely not.
Because you won't have a hard time connecting with a man
Facts.
if you lead with that.
Facts.
But I've never watched the show. And I said, I wonder if I'm the only one that noticed this about these shows, that the women never lead with woman traits. They come to the table with the same thing men have, but that's an added bonus. And that's what
Yes.
I've taught my ladies. Be successful. I'm a very successful woman, but I don't lead with that, So I'm like, y'all trying to give a cat dog food and wonder why it's not taking it, honey. That becomes the problem. Miss April, why won't they? I said, because most women have never studied the psychology of a man and how y'all move.
There it is.
And I'm like, how do you want this, but you don't know how it works?
There
I
it
said,
is.
but men, y'all know how to get us. Y'all have studied us. You know how to look good. You know how to smell good. You know how to have a good job. You know, even if you don't, you know how to present like you do. You know.
You said present like you got a good
yes,
job.
you know what to do. Back in the day in my club days, when I used to be at the club
Talk
in
about
Oakland,
it.
Sweet Jimmy's, honey, Sweet Jimmy's and the Oak Tree every weekend, right? The men would drive by in their 5.0s, their nice cars, trying to get the girl.
Yep.
So men have studied what moves us. But when you tell women, well, you got to stroke an ego. Why I got to do that? That means, he need validated. Why I got to be his peace? He should be peaceful when we meet. And it has nothing to do with that. It's their interpretation of what that is.
Yes.
So I see it. I've been doing this work for actually well over 15 years, and it hasn't changed. It's like if you study a man like men study us, it'll be a whole lot easier.
What do you think when, you and I discussed this earlier about the red pill community that may look at you as being someone that is manipulating men?
Funny thing is, the fact that being a woman and a woman's charm is now looked at as manipulation tells us how far we've gone off the script.
Right.
Because the fact that you all know what to do to get us, but yet if I use feminine language when I'm talking to you based upon how you are wired, am I manipulating? Or have I studied what type of way I should be talking to you? Because if I yell at you and say, LaTerras, get that garbage out, and if I do all that, you're not going to hear me. But if I say, oh, honey, darling, you look so sexy when you take that garbage out. Is that manipulating you?
No.
Or is that learning?
I'm going to take out our garbage, the neighbor's garbage, everybody down the street garbage. Everybody garbage will get taken out that day.
And I believe that what women are and what we have always been, it's looked at as manipulation. Because here's the thing. I will say this, y'all. Listen. You can use your femininity for good or for evil.
Yes.
So it's how you choose to use it. If I'm choosing to manipulate you with it, then that's what I'm doing.
Facts.
But if I'm with you and I understand how you're wired, why would I go against how you're wired and try to get something from you?
There it is.
Why would I do that? That's the part that I don't understand. So I have heard people say, oh, you teach women how to manipulate men. No, I don't, but do I just teach women how to talk to men in general? Because men receive information from us in a different way.
So I love talking to my guests about how they arrived to where they are now. So let's unpack this. Yeah, we're going to talk about you, April. We're going to talk about you. How did you become this woman that people love today? Because a lot of times people say, how you going to teach people how to get married and you not married?
The same way a man can be a gynecologist and he doesn't have a vagina. I mean, help me, please. Think about it. Do we ever question a man who is a gynecologist that can help you get rid of whatever you got and that can help, push out these babies? He will never know what it means to have a vagina.
Facts.
A woman will never know that goes in and, she check y'all rectums and all of that stuff to make sure you good.
Yeah.
Does she have a prostate like that?
No.
But you will go to her and you would normally, most men prefer a woman to do it, right?
Yeah.
So if you prefer a woman to do it and she doesn't have what you have, make it make sense.
I just find that some people just want to complain about everything and attack everything that is opposite of what they think in the first place. But what they don't realize is that it's not you're not married, but you've been married before. And so there's a lot of things that you learned being a wife.
Yes.
So when you think about that, how long were you married in the past?
Look, it was so wrong. I don't even remember.
That girl said it was so wrong. I don't remember. Not so, it was so long.
Like 6 years. But here's the thing. You will never hear me talking negatively about my ex-husband because I chose him based upon where I was. So I don't get on line talking about these men do this and these men do that.
Yeah.
I more so look at it as, who was I showing up as? And was this person nothing more than a mirror to who I was?
Facts.
And so I shouldn't have been married. He should have got a hello and I should have kept on walking. But because of my self-esteem, and I dealt with 12 years of sexual abuse from the age of 5 to 17. I've dealt with 2 rapes.
5 to 7?
Yes, 5. It started at 5, yes.
Was it the same person?
No, it was actually my neighbors. No, I dealt with it from my first experience was from my neighbors. Then I dealt with it from my father and stepfather.
You said neighbors?
Neighbor. It was
Okay.
it was my neighbors that were babysitting me. Yeah, they were young. They were girls at that.
So it was girls sexually assaulting you at 5.
They didn't want to play doctor.
And then it went to your father?
Biological and stepfather, and then family members. It just what it was in our family at that time. And for
Listen,
I know.
No, listen. I am so sorry to hear that, first of all. And when I tell you that has become the recurring theme this season, it just baffles me. Like it's
So, you know what the thing is? For me to be able to sit up here and still say, I really love men and have gone through that, there had to be some real in-depth healing that had to take place in order for me to even do what I do and have been doing it for so long. So for me, dealing with that, when you have gone through traumas, you choose people that are in alignment with your trauma. They call them trauma bonds.
Yeah. I'm still stuck over at 12 years, and it's like your own father, and then your stepfather, and then neighbors. It's like, why? Like, what is that? I always wonder when I hear about, trying not to get emotional. I always wonder how when it's been a sexual assault on a woman, it becomes repetitious. It's like they'll give stories like, oh yeah, it happened when I was this, and then my boyfriend did this, and then I went on a date and it was date rape this, and then it was this. And they'll just have these reoccurring stories of the same thing. And it's like, what is that? What is this, a spirit that attaches to you to where it send some message to other people that say, hey, I can do this to this young girl? What is that?
That's what everything, how I looked at it and viewed it was more so when you go through stuff like that, it becomes your normal. It becomes normal to you. So anything that happens after that, you're programmed, because the ages that we learn the most are between 0 and 7.
Right.
So imagine knowing so much so young, and so I actually suppressed who I was for years. Even as of recent, I did an interview with Essence, an article, and they asked, I forgot the question, but I realized at 46, I didn't even want to be seen. I was like, what is it? So my good friend...
You want to be seen?
I didn't want to be seen. So when whatever the question was that they asked, it caused me to have to go within and say, why don't you want to be seen? And so my headquarters...
You say seen, what you mean? You don't want to be on video? You don't want to be...
No, it was more so... Video, we can get online, we can take our phones, we can shut that down. So I have a headquarters in Atlanta, and I was going to put my brand, All Things Feminine, on the marquee out front. And my good friend, Dr. Bobby Price, I sent him the mock-up. He was like, oh, this is nice, but he always challenged me. He said, that's nice, but why don't you put April Mason headquarters on the building? And it caused me to have to think about that. And I thought about it for a couple of days, and it came to me. You didn't want to be seen. There was still something about you being seen because you can hide
behind the brand,
right? And so it caused me to have to think about what caused you to not want to be seen. And it stemmed from growing up. A lot of times, even those of us in the most wonderful positions, whether it's your favorite pastor, your favorite professor, celebrity, we get triggered too. Doesn't mean we don't know what we're talking about,
right?
But we get triggered as well. So that question was a trigger, and it made me have to go within. And I said, why don't you want to be seen? What are you hiding from? And I realized I didn't feel safe. And that's what it was. It's like, you don't feel safe. And I started noticing my body language. Although I meet amazing people all the time, I'm very friendly, I'm very warm. Somebody could be talking to me, and I would notice I'm like this,
leaning back.
I'm leaning back, and I became aware of that. And I'm like, why? This person isn't harming me. This person isn't doing anything to me. Why am I doing this? And so it all came together for me. And so for me to get over that, I put my name real big on my building. When you drive by there, you see April Mason headquarters. And I put it on the door.
How long did it take you to do that from having that conversation?
The moment I had that aha moment.
How long was that?
That was 2 days.
Oh, it took you 2 days.
Yeah, because I had to figure out the pieces of why. I'm a deep thinker. It's more so, okay, why did I feel triggered? Where did it come from? And how do I fix it? So I teach my ladies, assess a situation, accept what it is, and decide how you're going to move forward.
Good.
And so I said, no, you know what? And I sent Bobby back. I never told him.
Say that one more time, you please. Assess the situation.
Accept what it is, and then decide how you're going to move forward. And all I did was send Bobby back the picture of the new marquee. And that was it. And from that point on, I was like, I had to tell myself, no, April, you're safe. Like, you're still trying to protect that little girl, but you're safe. You're fine. You carry a 380 everywhere. You are safe, baby.
So, words to wise, April, stay strapped. Stay strapped. So how did you move during your teenage years, having come from that? Did you find yourself, because you have two types of women. You have the women that become hypersexual from that, or the ones that become very closed off and, don't want you touching them or whatever. Which type of one were you?
Interesting is I became, so you got me talking. You got me telling it.
We got to talk.
I became a man eater. This is what I mean. I became the woman that I could look at you, and if I could feel like I could conquer you, I'll send you back. I'll never forget, it was one time I was at the same club in Oakland. I walked in with my girls. There was this guy. His girl's back was to me. They were dancing. He locked eyes with me, and I was like, yeah, he can be taken. Like that wasn't even a thought that he couldn't. So I go to the ladies' room, and I come out, and he was standing there, and I said, I knew you'd be here.
Woo!
And he said, how did you know? I said, because I saw you. He said, what did you see? I said, I watched you watch me. And he said, well, that I'm just on a date. I said, now that you've come over here, I've captivated you that much that you would leave the girl you with to come and get my number. I said, my job is done. I'm not interested.
Did you say my job is done?
Yeah, that was my way. Yeah, that's what happened to me.
Just to know that you could.
Just because I could. So I didn't get overly promiscuous or get overly withdrawn. It was almost like, now that I think about it, that was my way of getting back at the men that had violated me.
Yep.
Because I knew I could. And so that's what I did. I didn't want any of them. It was just the fact that I know, yeah, you easy.
Did you ever take it to the next level and just got a guy and just played him?
No, because that's too much work. Baby, I don't like working like that, honey. That's too much work. It was just to know that I could.
Too much work?
Yeah, because that means you got to start being extra stuff, and then I didn't want you in the first place, so then I don't want you to touch me. It was a game to me, is what it was.
So you never looked at it and be like, well, I'm finna get him to pay my rent. I'm finna get him to do that. You said it's just too much work.
That was too much work. But see, that's the thing though. What I didn't realize was I always carried the feminine energy. It was just at the naive point. So I say there's the naive feminine, the sexual feminine, and where I am now, which is the grounded, which is why I can talk and teach millions of women like I do.
So what's the naive?
What I was doing.
You didn't know. You just knew that you could attract.
I knew, but I was not, like, I watch my granddaughter. My granddaughter, especially the youngest one, she's getting ready to be 4. And she's in her rawest form of her femininity to where she knows how to.
want to be doing this?
You're my heart, Grammy. You're my heart. Grammy, did I disappoint you? Because you're my heart. I love her. But yeah, she knows like at its rawest form how to use it and when to use it for manipulation. I told you, she know you can use it for good or bad. Yeah. She knows exactly.
And you said she does that when she gets in trouble.
She does it when she gets in trouble. And like we were at this restaurant and I told her, I said, sit down, mama. And she got up and she ran. I'm like, I'm not chasing you. And she ran all the way around. I sat there and I waited.
She let her run around the restaurant?
She ran all the way around and came back. And I'm like, okay. She got back to me and I said, Lonnie. She said, yes, ma'am. I said, why didn't you listen? She was like, I said, get up there and sit down. She says, are you angry with me? And I said, I'm very disappointed, Lonnie Boo. Grammy, please forgive me. And she's sitting on, at this point, she's on her knees looking at me in the chair. And she's about to be 4, but she's a petite. So she looks like she's about 1.5. She's real tiny. So I call her my little rabbit. And I'm looking at her and my daughter's sitting across the table, not phased. She said, Ma, she do this. Ain't nobody giving her no slack. She always on punishment at home. So I said, Lonnie, why did you do that? She said, I don't know. I'm so sorry. I'm very so sorry. She says, Grammy, you're my heart. Please forgive me. You're my heart. Don't be mad at me, Grammy. And I'm like, I'm disappointed. Please. So she knew. Now, when I told your tail to sit down, you knew you were supposed to do that. And you looking at me while you running, so you knew that. But the moment you get in trouble, it's like, I'm
gonna turn it on.
Yeah, it's like, bam.
So do you try to break that?
No.
What do you do with that?
I allow her to be in that naive side, but I discipline her as well. Because what we have done is we have taken that away from our young girls. Stop crying. You know, big girls don't cry. Yeah. Yes, we do. Because I'm getting ready to be 48 this month, and I will cry on you real quick. And sometimes I don't even know why I'm crying.
She said sometimes
I'll be like, look at the little rabbit, and the rabbit got her babies and the duckies. And you be like, I'll just be crying. I just be crying. And I don't, the next minute, I'm laughing. And then it's like, oh my God, look at the tree.
Ask this, why did you so casually say your age? Why don't, you don't, sometimes women be like, I don't want to tell my age and all this. Why are you not like that?
Because I don't have a problem with it. I don't see the problem. I've never understood why we didn't. Everybody just said, don't tell your age, but they never told us why not. So what am I supposed to do? So he asked me how old I am. Oh, man, never ask lady her age. Yes, he does. He want to know if your ovary's still working, child, to see if you got some babies. What do you say? He want to know if you done had a hysterectomy, because he don't want no more babies. Like, are you in period or menopause, or are you in menopause? So, because he might want somebody that's, in that stage, because he don't want. So, yeah, I don't have no problem with that.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
She said, never told me why not to.
Did you ever realize they didn't tell us how?
They always say, a man doesn't ask a woman, a gentleman doesn't ask a woman her age. I was like,
why?
And then you get a situation like R. Kelly, and then they say, well, he should have known how old they was. He was trying to be a gentleman.
You know what? You ain't right. You're not about to have me coughing. You acting up.
I'm sorry. But that's why I say I'll be asking. I'll be wanting to know. I'll be wanting to know what it is.
I've never had a problem with that, because I never understood why not. Well, you know what? I did hear something recently that someone said. Matter of fact, on the plane here, I heard it. She said sometimes men would ask women their age to disqualify them, or sometimes women, when they're a certain age on a job, they get discriminated against. And so my thing is, if it's a situation like that, no, I'm gonna let you meet me first, and then ask me my age. And if it's a job or whatever it is I want, you gonna make an adjustment for me.
For me.
Well, typically we don't want them 48, but we'll make an exception.
There it is.
So I don't have a problem with it, because I'm free in who I am. I
want to talk about this, and we'll go back to, what you learned in your marriage stuff that you adjusted growing up. But on that plane ride, we had this funny conversation that happened. What happened? Say one of the situations that happened between a male.
Oh, well, I don't lift luggage when I'm at the airport, and I don't have to ask anybody to do it. So there's this gentleman, and he's a frail older man. I could tell he has Parkinson's. He was shaking and whatnot, and he looked at me. He said, "Can I put your bag up?" And I said, "You absolutely can." And so we're talking for a brief moment as he's putting it up, and I said, "All of the muscles you got, of course you can put my bag up." Now he was this big, child, but he's doing something nice for me. I can boost his ego a little bit because he had to have some sort of muscles to put him up there. Mm-hmm. And so when he sits next to me, he says, "I just wanted to make sure it was okay." And I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "Today you can't just help a woman and because it can make her feel like you believe as a man that I believe that she's not capable." I said, "If you ever see me in the airport, the grocery store, or anywhere else, feel free to carry bags and put them up." I said, "I'm not one of those, but I think my energy said that it was okay."
How is that? How does a woman walk in that energy where guys are drawn to you like that? Because that's not even, that's just not an isolated situation. Mm-hmm. Even when you sat on the plane, you were eating something, and what happened?
Oh, the guy, when I got, the other guy coming on when I had to transfer the plane, soon I'm sitting there eating my breakfast, and he says, "Did you get me some?" I said, "Well, if I knew you were coming, I would have gotten two."
So what's all this pimping going on?
Why is that pimping?
That's pimping, April. You know dang well you wasn't even interested in that dude.
But why does me being nice to you and having witty banter to you equal I'm interested romantically?
Well, when you sit there and say, "If I knew you was here, I would have brought two."
Yeah, I'd have brought my grandkids some. I would have brought you some. I'd have brought everybody in the staff some. Like, why when a lady is cordial and she has witty banter and charm that you automatically think, because you guys are quick to tell us, just because a man does something nice for you, it doesn't mean he's interested. That's why you get friend zoned. They be getting friend zoned because men will start doing nice gestures, and then next thing you know, he want to be your friend. And he's doing nice gestures. And then as my friend, I'm going to talk to you about the man that I just met that I'm going out with, friend. Now he mad. Why are you mad? Well, I was doing all this stuff because I like you. No, because on one end, y'all will say,
yep,
just because a man does nice things for you, it does not mean he's romantically interested. Then on the other hand, it's, well, if he's doing all that stuff, he moving you and all that he ain't doing that. Make up your mind. Help us help you stay out the friend zone, because we don't know. 1 minute is this, 1 minute is that. I'm confused.
Have you had that happen several times? Where a guy, you're thinking that is just platonic, but he's treated you platonically, but then once you start talking about other guys or dating other guys or whatever, he getting his feelings?
Oh, yeah.
And then what do they normally say?
It's like, "So you went out on a date?" Like, "Yeah, let me tell you about it." So
she said, "Let me tell you."
Because, see, here's the thing. People do this, we need to be friends first. If you want to be my friend, I'm going to treat you like a platonic friend. No matter what you do for me, you want to be a friend. And if I'm honest, women actually want a man who they're romantically interested in, who becomes their friend. If you say you just want to be my friend, don't be mad when I'm like, "Oh, guess what, friend? I had this date last night and it was amazing." Don't be mad. "Oh, really? Oh, I thought you was at home." "Oh, what? Why you have this little tone in your voice?" Like, so that's why you have to open your mouth. I don't take any gesture that a man does for me to equal he likes me unless he tells me that. He makes it very clear. You got to make it clear as these contacts that I'm wearing right now. If you do not, I don't take hints. I don't take kind gestures as anything, because y'all have programmed us that if a man does something nice for you, it does not mean he wants to be with you. So unless you say, "Listen, I've been watching you and I like your vibe and I'm actually interested in more. I don't want to be your friend. I want to get to know the woman." You say something else like that to me, at that point I can make an informed decision. If you don't, "Come on, friend, want to go walking with me, friend? Friend, can you come look at..."
Is that what you're going to do? You're going to friend him to death?
I'm going to friend him to death. Because that's what you said. So here's the thing: if I'm giving I'm giving you what you said you wanted. Let me ask you that: why is it when we give y'all what you say you want, then y'all get mad? Because this is what I believe: when we give you exactly what you say you want, imagine a situation where a man and a woman, they're just hanging out. He's saying he don't want nothing. She's saying she don't want nothing. Now, when she doesn't call you and harass you and what you doing and all that, why do y'all feel some sort of way about that? To me, it feels like you want us to do that so you can reject us. I told you what it was.
Well, no, it gives them an out. It gives them an out when, because I know dudes that do that all day. So it's like saying, listen, they get the freedom to move how they want to move with no responsibility. And so like you see those billboards, drink responsibly.
Yes.
I believe you should date responsibly.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, it's like I have no responsibility, but then if things get romantic, you mess around, end up having sex, then, and if you come and talk about, oh, so what? So what we doing? Like, what do you mean what we doing? He's like, I mean, like, we've been hanging out, we've been doing this, whatever. He's like, well, no, I mean, we cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't nothing. But then when you go do a him on him, then he like,
y'all can't take
no,
it.
he can't take it at all. He's like, oh, so you just finna sleep with me and then go hang out with somebody else, or you finna go do this? It's like, it just
because
it throws them off.
That's what you, because I had that happen to me.
Yeah.
I remember one incident. It had to be about 10, 15 years ago. And I wasn't looking for nothing or anything.
Yeah.
And he said the same thing. And then we would hang out, we would get together.
Yeah.
And I remember one night, he looks over at me and he's like, so April, what's up? I'm like, what you mean? He was like, you know, us. I'm like, what is us? And he was like, I said, remember, we said we weren't looking for anything. And remember, you said that. He said, yeah, until I found it. I'm like, oh.
Oh, you found it. Is it me?
But he wasn't me for me. You know, he was for a purpose. And we had great times together.
She said he wasn't me for me.
You know, and so I'm like, wait a minute. You said, I mean, you gave this whole spiel when we met. You know, I'm like looking at, I'm in my career, and I'm like, okay, cool, perfect. I'm in the same. I was recently divorced, so I'm not trying to settle down.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do that. Okay, perfect. You 6'5", and you fine, and you look good in the suit. So if I need you for anything, I could bring you out to the. You know, if I need you for anything, perfect. And then we can go our separate ways. It didn't work like that. Men, and for me, have always flipped in some sort of way, and it's like, but.
And then how did you handle that? Did you continue going on with what you've already had established with him? Or did you have to cut him off?
I had to cut him off. Because my thing is, I'm very honest when it comes to that stuff. It's, if I'm interested, you'll know it. If I'm not, you will. I'm not the lead you on kind.
Yeah, that's how I am.
I'm very, very clear, you know, about that. So during that time, if brother catch feelings and I wasn't trying to feel those feelings, I wasn't trying to catch them back. I'm like, oh, you know what?
How did you say it in your feminine way?
You know what, love, you know, you will make an amazing husband for someone. I'm just not in that phase right now. And this was right after my divorce, so I wasn't trying to lock anybody in. I said, but maybe, you know, if you're available when I get to that place, we can circle back.
So you left them with a little bit of hope.
You always do that.
April, why do you always do that? That's not fair. You shouldn't do that if you have no...
But because do we know the future?
You know, if you have if you feel like there's no alignment with him.
No, I didn't say there was no alignment.
No, I'm just saying if you feel like there's no alignment.
If there's, the only reason I would say that if there's something about them, but I wasn't ready. I was recently divorced. I'm not trying to.
I understand why you did.
But it doesn't mean doesn't mean he's not a good man.
Where he at now? Have you ever thought about him since then and say, you know, I may go circle the block? No.
He's married. He got married.
Well, before he got married.
No. I moved to Atlanta. This
Moving
was
ain't
LA.
got nothing to do with these phones still work.
I don't do long distance. Look, I got all the excuses. I don't do no relationships.
Yeah, no intentions of
you know
ever
what?
circling the block.
During that time, I was still coming into this. I was getting out. I literally had to work out this whole plaything that I had, you know, and when I started going through my healing journey, I realized, April, you didn't want to settle down like that, especially during that time, because you had to really go through this healing journey. But like you said, for me, I didn't get promiscuous and I didn't get where I was reserved. It became, I'm gonna hurt y'all the way you hurt me, but not from in a relationship and going in trying to just be. It was more so if I'm walking down the street and I see you, it's like, oh yeah, that one, I said, girl, that one easy right there. You know, it was like that, you know, and it became a game, you know, for me. But thank God for deliverance.
No, let me ask you this. Did it ever backfire on you?
Never.
Never. So you tell me it was never a situation where you did that and the guy got you caught up?
Nope.
Really?
Here's the thing. You can't get me caught up unless I want you to.
Break that down. Explain to me.
We have to give people power to do certain things. If I've ever been caught up with a man, it's because I chose to be, not because he manipulated or anything. No, I choose to engage in whatever this thing is that we're engaging with. But I was just not, I was not that woman back then. It was more so, catch me if you can. I'm a butterfly. Catch me if you can. You know, and they would try to conquer.
Yeah,
because
of course.
But I didn't have it. You know, I didn't. I'm so thankful for who I have become. Yeah. Because I look back at that, and I'm like, girl, you were horrible. You were, but not in a way that I was hurting people. It was more so. Because I wouldn't get deep with people. Yeah. You know, it was more in passing. It was not, I'm about to get in a relationship.
You're just bruising their ego. That's all it was. Because they was like, I can do this, I can do this. You was like, huh, no.
Yeah. Something like that, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's like, he hasn't invested in you that much. Like when he started investing in you, buying you stuff, paying your car notes, doing all that stuff.
We go together at that point. Yeah, so that's the thing. I'm a woman of love. So even when I was going through that, I knew I'm still a woman who loves love.
So you wouldn't even let a man do that unless you were reciprocating from a love standpoint.
Yes. So I understood every season of my life as an adult. I understood the season that I was in, and I operated accordingly.
So what's the balance of allowing a guy to do for you? I'll call it the pick up your bag approach. We're going to call it the proverbial bag, because some guys will pick up a bag, a Chanel purse for you, pick up your rent, like we said, or pick up, some shoes or buy you stuff, take you on trips. What's the balance between allowing or not allowing guys to do that at certain stages of the dating or the pursuit of interest?
You have to know who you are, where you are, and what you can handle. Okay, because every woman can't handle a man doing all those things. I'm a woman that believes just because a man with money spends money on you, it doesn't mean he cares about you.
Facts.
He's used to spending money.
Yep.
But a busy man who actually gives you his time, that's the man you should be paying attention to. So you have to know where you are at that point. And back then, I was in my late 20s, early 30s. I was in my early 30s, because that's why I got divorced in my 30s. So it was like, I wasn't trying to do all of that. But when you start maturing and getting to know yourself, you know what you can and can't deal with. But it's understanding that a man is so much more than his wallet. And so now you can't be broke now. We don't do broke. Broke is not of God.
Hey, April, why you say broke isn't of God?
Because it's not.
Where's that in the Bible?
Protection. Okay, hold on. Let me wait. I'm not a Bible thumper, but I think over in Timothy it says, I think, ain't it? Is it 1 or 2 Timothy's?
I don't know. Say it. I don't know. Was it 1 Timothy?
Is it 1
Timothy?
Okay, so I think it's somewhere in Timothy. It says, a man that does not take care of his family is worse than an infidel.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Okay, so I know it's somewhere in there. I do know that.
It depends on what you call taking care of. You say you can't be broke. Let's monetize what broke is. What is broke to you?
This is what my grandfather taught me.
Good.
He said, a man, if you're going to take a man's last name, he has to be able to provide for you 100%. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't have your own. It doesn't mean that, if you wanted to do something around the house, you can't. It doesn't mean that. And so for me, I start really researching marriage and the institute of marriage and how it came about and all of those, the ring and all of the licensing and all of that stuff. So this is how I feel about it, child. And this is humorous, but I'm for real.
Come on, talk about it.
Women were seen as property.
Facts.
The moment you put that ring on her finger, she becomes Mrs. Chad Johnson, Mrs. Keith Roberts, right?
Right.
I became your property. A matter of fact, I posted it yesterday on my Instagram. A young lady just got engaged off of my trainings, and her wedding isn't until 2024. And I'm so used to, we've had a 90-95% success rate of our ladies going through our trainings, getting engaged and married within a year. So I'm like, 2024. And I said, do you mind telling me why 2024? She says, he has to have money to pay my dowry before he can marry me.
Country.
Yes. And so I understood it.
Yeah.
So for me, I wish I would have listened to my grandfather when I got married, but I was in that, no, we can build together.
What is she, African, Nigerian? What?
She, I don't remember what she is. I know she lives in Paris, but I'm not sure exactly what she is.
She said to pay his dowry.
No, she said a traditional Haitian wedding, if I'm not mistaken in my message. But I'm just one of those that understand if you want me to take your last name, darling. According to Moses Mason.
Sound all biblical too. Moses Mason.
That's him. That was my guy. He said a man should be able to provide for you
100%.
100%. Doesn't mean you sitting around eating bonbons and all of this other stuff. It just means before you take his last name, because remember, a woman used to go from her father's house being 100% provided for to a husband. Why am I going to go over here and struggle with you and I can stay with my daddy?
But with the way society has changed, and a woman is living on her own and got her own situation, her own bills, then is that still the case? Should that still be the culture in the
It depends
marriage?
it depends on that woman and that man. Like, for instance, I only date men who live by those standards. So I don't have that. I don't meet people that don't do that. I date older men anyway. They kind of, the OGs, there's like, no, my woman don't pay for nothing. I remember I tried to take someone that I was dating. I tried to take him. It was his birthday. It was Father's Day. And I got dinner. I was trying to surprise him. Do you know, by the time we got back home, he had snuck and went to the ATM. And when I went home, the money was back in my purse. He would not allow that. And I called him. I said, did you put money in my purse? He said, I didn't go in it. Your purse was open and I just dropped it in. I said, well, I took him to dinner and to a car show.
He reimbursed you.
Yep. Thank you.
Did you say thank you? Did you say thank you?
Yes. And because he wasn't raised as a woman spending her money like that.
So is that a problem?
For them, it was.
I'm talking about for you, though. You wouldn't feel like, well, dog, I at least want to do something for you. You said no.
Because you got to also understand the type of people that you date. I date men, and have dated men who, for them, it's the thought that you wanted to do something nice for me, but I'm not fixing to sit here and let you pay for it. And I'm like, well, honey, it's your birthday. It's your day. Thank you. I got the check. And I've always had that happen. So I don't know this whole societal thing. And I think women that want men that are providers, such as what I'm talking about, they don't know how to be in that feminine space to attract those kind. Those men, they love the feminine woman. So you hear this whole 50-50 thing, and I don't know what that is because I don't deal with that. Because it's a whole nother demographic of men that believe in being this protector and provider. But it's not that you can't have your own or that they're trying to control. It's just embedded in them that a man takes care of the household.
So you say older, do you have an age range?
Child, they recently tried to hook me up with somebody 71. But let me tell you this. I accidentally went out with somebody 72.
Accidentally.
After this, I'm gonna show you him. You're not gonna think he's 72.
You said accidentally.
It was accidentally.
So he did a you on you, which you said I'm gonna introduce myself to you, and then I'll reveal my age later, like you said about a job thing.
Yeah, he did that. But we met at the gym, and I thought he was no more than 52 to 55. And so he's always been sweet. He would spot me on the little machines. He'd show me how to use them. And he was like, hey, bro, I would like to go out with you. And I said, you know what? I like that too. He said, what are you doing this weekend? I said, whatever you say we doing is what we doing.
Dang. Well, see, I told you April, boy, April got game.
Well, I didn't have anything. to do.
No.
So I'm leaving it open for him to choose something.
Whatever you say, we doing.
It's what we doing. And so we went out, and he said, well, meet me at my house. I'm a good judge of character and energy. And so he's the older man. He not going to do nothing. Child.
You're working out the gym. He can manhandle you.
That part.
Yeah.
Well, what really started letting me know the age, now he wanted to peacock. You know how y'all be peacocking. He wanted me to see the Mercedes and all the cars and things. It was around the holiday time. This was probably about 5 years ago, holiday time. And I went by the house. It was hot as all get out in there. And he had you remember your grandmama Christmas candies? He had the Christmas candies and the nuts.
No, he did not have the little strawberry things.
No, remember the can? It was Christmas time.
Oh, the canisters.
Of Christmas candy with all, they stuck together and you literally got to break them bad boys. So he had those. And then he had I could tell at that point. And so we went bowling and he tried to kiss me and he went, and I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? What are you doing? He was like, I like you.
He said, use your words back. You said that we doing whatever you say we do.
Yes. It wasn't a love connection.
He said, what are you doing? What did he say? I like you.
He said, I like you. He's like, come sit on my lap. And then immediately I'm like, oh, I feel like daddy, like
he said, come sit
you
on my
went
lap.
from zaddy to daddy. And I was like, it didn't feel right at that point. Because that's when he revealed to me his age.
He said, come sit on my lap.
Yeah, because we were bowling. And the thing is, he wanted to hold my hand everywhere we went. So we were going somewhere and I needed something on my stomach so I could take my medicine. And so he said, what do you want? I said, some fries. Let's go. Can we go to Chick-fil-A and get some fries? He said, yes. I'm thinking he's going to the drive-thru. No, he wants to get out, hold my hand, parade me around just to go at Chick-fil-A to get some fries. I said, something is up. And that's what I found out later on. He told me, I said, how old are you? I said, he said, how old do you think I am? I said, no more than like 55. He said, April, I'm 72. And it started to all make sense. And every time I would
start seeing the candy,
it makes sense because he wanted all of my time. See, at that stage, they want to go to the jazz festivals. They want to go on the cruises. You cannot have a life with those. Because I'm like, and I was like, how old are your kids? He said, oh yeah, my daughter's your age. Really? I said, now how does your daughter, your children feel like, you dating somebody their age? As long as I'm happy, and then he said to me, the thing is, just in case you're wondering, everything works. And I was like, I don't need that visual. Oh, goodness.
Just in case you're wondering.
But here's the thing. It wasn't a love connection, but I passed men along.
You hooked him up with somebody else?
I did. Mm-hmm. I did.
And are they still together?
He didn't like her because she wasn't into fitness. And matter of fact, I asked him, and I did this a couple of times. I said, hey, I have an arsenal of women, I said, it's not a love connection between us. I do think you're a great guy, but our lifestyles, and that's something that I look for. Our life has to be in alignment. He ready to just explore the world. And at that time, everything was happening for me at the time. And I was actually filming a television show. And so I would tell him that I had, I was going to set. He'd call me 3 times that day. Well, where you at? What you doing? I'm like, I done told this man either his memory gone or he just wants somebody to hang out with. He bored. So I hooked him up with some older ladies. And he was like, make sure she don't look, she got to look right because he goes to the gym. And so I'm a woman that I go out with someone and it's not a love connection, I will hook them up with somebody else.
I believe in that right there.
Like I don't hold anybody hostage like that.
Yeah.
And I think it takes a lot of maturity to do that.
Exactly.
And I've done that with several guys, and they're like, "What the girl gonna think?" I said, "Just act like we friends, because she don't have to know none of that other stuff." And to me, it's just women can be like, "Oh, he liked you first." Well,
it's so childish to me.
It's like, well, he seen me first.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, but he might have liked you first if he would have saw you
first.
That's
what I'm saying. I had a conversation with one of my friends about this. I just don't like that. I said, why? I said, that is so immature. If you met somebody before you met them, like you said, met you first, so you're gonna be like, well, I just don't like it that you may have talked to somebody that I know. It'd be like,
yeah, I don't care about that. Because the one girl I did hook him up with, he kept calling me. He was like, she keeps saying, so how you know April? So how you know April? I said, tell her I'm one of your daughter's friends, child. Get off my line. Tell her you wanted about your daughter's friends. Because I thought they would have made her really cute, and they were more compatible because she had the free time. She was retired as well. And I just thought it would have been, you know.
So tell him I'm one of your daughters.
Yeah. So he was like, that didn't work. I said, well, I got another one. Like, I will hook a man that I've gone out on a date with up real quick. Like, because I like to see people connected.
Yeah.
You know, I like to see people, because I understand
the journey of love.
I do.
Yes, me too. And it's like the journey of love is like, I've talked to women over the past that I've congratulated when they found their person to get married.
Yes.
Because, you know, in the time, I know I'm not the one for them. Mm-hmm. So I can applaud that. It's like, listen, I love. So at the end of the day, if I'm the process before the promise, then so be it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so be it. Hopefully you learn some things with me. Hopefully I learn some things from you to make you, and we make each other better for the people that God has designed for us.
I feel the exact same way, you know, and one of the guys, he actually got married recently, and I coached him through that because he was like, April, she didn't do anything for me for my 60th birthday, and my birthday is on New Year's Eve or something like that, he was saying. And I'm like, well, you know, say this and say that. Find out what the deal is.
Yeah. And
so he went deeper with her, and, you know, she cracked and shared, you know, got vulnerable. They got married last year.
Wow.
And he sent me a picture, and I said, I am so happy for you because I know this is what you wanted.
Yeah.
This is what you wanted. And that 8,000 square foot house you got over there, I said, I'm glad you did not fool with any of these other ones. She's what you needed. She's in alignment with your lifestyle.
Explain what you mean by that. Fool with the other ones.
Well, see, the other ones, once we decided, you know, whatnot, he would call me about these other women all the time. He said, April, guess what? I said, tell me what happened, honey. And they would like him because he was a very successful man, had retired from the military after 25 years and was getting ready to retire from FedEx he was in more of a corporate position there. And women saw that big old house he had. And I remember it was his birthday and she didn't do nothing. And I had went over there and brought him some balloons. I said, open up the door. You got a delivery. And so I just wanted to make him feel special, you know, because at that point it was strictly platonic. And so that was my first time seeing the house. I said, oh, I see why they're trying to get over here. The landscaping, he did himself. I mean, the house was, I said, how big is this house? Yeah, about 8,000 square feet. And it's just him. He said, well, come here, let me show you something. He said, this is the room that I created for my wife. This is going to be her vanity room. And I said, oh, that's so sweet. He said, yeah, I want her to have her own space. So he was preparing himself for that. And then he met this the young lady that he's married to now. When he met her, he sent me a picture of her. He said, what you think? I said, oh, she's beautiful. I said, what does she do? I was asking questions. And so they started having some rocky times. And I'm like, I think you need to vet her just a little bit longer because I think she might be more in alignment with the lifestyle that you're looking for. And he did, and they got married last year.
How long was the dating? How long was the courtship?
Less than a year. That's my track record. That's always been my track record. And people say, how do you help people get engaged and married in a year? I said, with women, I teach them how to embrace their femininity. Say, it's not about the man. Embracing your femininity will attract the type of man you want. Now, there's a difference between attracting and entertaining. And I think people don't understand that. I'm not responsible for what I attract, but you're responsible for
what
who you choose to
entertain.
And I always use this analogy, like this cup right here. This cup is water in it.
Right.
In here, it has good men, bad men, indifferent men, and all kind of other things in here. Based upon where you are will determine what you're going to pull out of here. It doesn't mean good men don't exist. They in here. You're just not in alignment with them in order to attract them. Or to entertain them. So you're not even going to pull that out. You're going to pull out somebody that is a mirror to what you are versus what you say you want. Because think about it. How many of us were actually prepared to be married? Or did we just get out here, our hormones all over the place? I like you, you like me. Oh my God, we just so in love.
Yep.
Let's get married.
Yeah.
And some of us wasn't even in love. I wasn't in love or anything when I got married. I was
Right.
taught if he loved God, he'll love you. They didn't teach me about chemistry, compatibility, lifestyle, standards, and values. As long as God, he was,
That's it.
that's it.
That's it.
And so I had to learn, no, there's more to that, because even with our lifestyles, I learned after we married, he wanted to live on like 90 acres of land. And I'm like, oh no, I'm from California, honey. This is not what what we gonna do over there with no neighbors? Like, what are we doing? So I didn't even know to ask those questions. It was, he loves God, and that should be enough.
Right.
And so I teach differently. I teach my ladies, and I always ask them, okay, so you say you're ready for a wife, you're ready for your Boaz, but you have done nothing to prepare for him. You're prepared to be a business partner, but you're not prepared to be a wife.
What's the difference?
All these degrees that they go hard for, and nothing wrong. Ladies, understand, I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, but the same effort that you put into climbing the corporate ladder, getting your business off the ground, doing what you got to do, being a boss. I can't stand that phrase. Boss
I was about to
chick.
ask you what you think about the term boss chick.
I don't like it because the energy that comes behind it.
What's the energy?
Here's the deal. When was the last time you heard a woman say, oh my God, LaTerras, I am such a boss chick? I'm like, really, really a boss chick? I'm a bad bee. This is who I am. Or is it I'm a boss?
Yeah.
It's the energy.
Yeah, it's the energy.
It's the energy that's different, because you can't say I'm a boss. And somebody take you serious like that. Because when women say I'm a boss,
Yeah, they be like, oh,
want you
yeah.
to know I've accomplished this. I
Yeah.
did this without a man.
Yeah.
Nobody gave me no handouts.
Yeah.
It's that energy. I train women in business to be feminine CEOs. That's the queen and princess energy that we spoke about earlier. I trademarked that, y'all. Don't be trying to use that.
I was just about to take it.
No, it's trademark, baby.
No, we talked about that
Listen,
before.
my trademark attorney gets so upset with me. I text her all night, search this, and then if it's not taken, trademark that. I got so many trademarks that I'm not even using just yet.
You said feminine CEO?
Feminine CEO, yes. And so I train women, especially women that are like myself. We're successful. We have businesses, multiple businesses. We are running things. However, we are women in business, not business women. That's a difference.
That's a big difference.
And so I teach them to be successful, to be able to walk in a room, and you don't have to make an announcement that you are that girl.
It was a question that we just got away from. I'm trying to remember. I had asked you to go to break down the difference between something, and I can't rack my brain. I'm racking my brain about it.
You sure did.
And then we went to this boss stuff. It's going to come to me hopefully later. Remember what it was?
Not yet.
It was something. It was the difference between, I said, break that down from the, before the CEO. It was about the type of women,
It's going to come.
yeah, it's coming. It's going to come to me. Gosh, I remember. Because that was good. So when we start talking about the, gosh, my brain is stuck over there. I want to say it and I can't remember.
Okay, I'm going to think.
Yeah.
I'm going to think too.
Well, I'm going to spin it somewhere else and then we'll
Okay.
come back to it because it's going to come. Was that thunderstorm?
Yes, it said it was supposed to. I looked at the weather before I got here.
Oh, okay.
And it said it's supposed to get a little ugly.
No, I don't need to get nothing. So when you talk about, let's go back to when you were married. What did you learn coming out of your marriage? What did you learn about you?
What I learned about me is that I needed to have boundaries, self-esteem. I never really spoke up for myself. Because of what my past, I was silenced a lot as a child. And so I didn't speak up a lot. I walked on eggshells in my marriage. So one of the things that's very important to me being with a man is to feel seen and heard and not shut down all the time. And loyalty is up there like oxygen. Like that, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
Loyalty is, I promise
Explain.
you.
I want you to break that down about loyalty. How did that come? You had an aha moment about how the importance of loyalty and how did that come about?
So when I was married, we were on the rocks and we were trying to figure out what we were going to do. And so at that time, my background is in commercial credit. I wrote an ebook all about business credit back in 2006. My first ebook was in 2003, honey. I was doing the ebook in it before it was ebook.
For real? I'm like, how'd you learn to do that?
I'm a researcher at heart. And so we were on the rocks, and in my office, where my office was, there was a girl next door who did personal credit. I dealt with business credit. So because we were on the rocks, and she asked him, how does your wife do what she do? Because he needed something from her to get his personal credit right, he told the secrets of my business. I didn't find that out until we got back together, but in that moment, I completely lost respect. Fast forward, I was in a long-term relationship. Y'all just didn't know it on the internet. Y'all didn't even know when I was married on the internet because I don't be sharing, child. I be making y'all think what I want you to think I did.
That's what I had my boy Afion Crockett on the show, and he was like, ain't nothing their business. He was talking about, he said, I could be in a relationship right now. I could be married right now. Who knows? I could be married. I could have been married for 10 years. It was so fun. He was like, mind your business. Mind your business.
Well, you know, my thing with that is this. Don't pay attention to my relationship. Look how long my receipts are with everybody else. Because when you go to the doctor, you don't look at their health. You look at how many people they've helped. You don't look at the chef's kitchen at his house to see if he can cook for you. Like I said earlier, you don't look at the man gynecologist. Let me check your vagina first, sir, before you tell me what this is I'm dealing with for my yearly pap, sir. Can I see your? You don't do that. So I believe that when those of us, and then you know what? Nobody ever asked TD Jakes how the heck he know how to help us get loose. He had a whole series, and I love me some TD Jakes. He will shake us loose. He had thousands of women coming to the conference showing him how to get loose. And he was on point.
You said nobody ever asked him how he learned how to get loose?
Yeah. So I believe God gives wisdom.
Oh, God.
To who he chooses.
Bishop, how'd you learn to get loose?
I need to know, how did you, because you be on point, Bishop.
Bishop be going hard, boy.
But what I learned.
That is true, though.
Yeah.
Woman, thou art loose.
Yes. And thousands for years. Nobody questioned that. They just want to get loose. You don't care how, just I need to get loose.
Facts.
But in my marriage, it was the loyalty thing. So I was in a long-term relationship, and he was disloyal because he let an enemy come sit down with him and break bread of mine. He said, well, she just wanted to tell me what happened. I don't give two rats behinds. Nobody can come have a conversation with my man about my man to me, especially me knowing that. So that's when I start realizing, okay, April, this is a core need of yours.
Yeah.
You know,
you said that happened in your relationship.
And then it triggered.
So it started off in the
my
marriage, and then it resurfaced in the relationship, and that's what brought back the importance of a core belief or a core need for you is loyalty.
Yeah, loyalty is because I'm the friend that you ain't do it.
You gonna hide the body?
I'll be like, no, he didn't know. And you can get in the car, and I'll be like, why you got us in this foolishness? Why would you? But in front of everybody, nah, bro. What? I have no idea what you're talking about. And I noticed my oldest grandchild, she's like that. She will ride for her mama no matter what. I'm like, Leah, I saw your mama do it. Granny, I don't know. And she would ride with her. But
your granddaughter like that?
Oh my God.
How old is she?
11.
And she'll do that?
She been that way about her mama. Her mama could have just bust a window. No, I didn't see nothing. You just went to the whole mall and your mama just bust out every last window. I'm sorry, Grammy, but I didn't see nothing. You was standing with her. My eyes. Someone was in my eyes.
Little 11-year-old.
Yes. And she's been doing this since she was little.
Get stitches. That's what she said.
She's not on. Now, she'll tell on you, just not her mama. Her mama, oh no, she's not good. She'll tell on everybody else, but her mom, no, she didn't do that. I didn't see nothing.
Ride or die for her mama.
I was asleep.
I was asleep.
But yeah, that's how I learned what my core need was when it comes to loyalty. And another thing that I learned in my marriage was, well, I didn't learn this in my marriage. I actually learned this from the ladies in my life growing up. So one of the things my ex-husband and I went to counseling about, he didn't understand how we could have a disagreement and he would still have to sleep with his wife and feed me. He would still have to sleep with his wife. That's your job.
Yeah,
Because it's my job, right?
Who gonna get mad about? What guy gonna get mad about having to sleep with you?
Well, here's the thing: when you mad, y'all know when y'all mad with us, y'all be mad, and when we would have disagreements. See, I evaluate things like this. It's the level of the disagreement. If it's not anything that's detrimental to us, you didn't put your hands on me. We're not dealing with no other, outside people. It's a disagreement.
Yeah.
So I'm not leaving. So, honey, I would go down to the basement. I'm hungry. You hungry? Yeah. Well, what you gonna cook? Nothing. We need to go to dinner. What you mean? I need you to take me to dinner. And he would take me to dinner, and he'd be so mad. He said, you a brat. Well, yeah. I told you that when we met. I'm very bratty. But honey, I'm hungry. And then afterwards, I'm like, and I would tell him, because I would stand right at the door in the garage, in the basement. He would go down to the basement.
So he went to the basement when he got mad.
He would go to the basement when he got mad. And I would stand right there at the door. Honey, I'm hungry. And then I said, you need to have sex with your wife too. He's like, what? I'm like, you can come back down here.
But you're going to give me something right now.
Yeah, so he would take me to eat. And he'd be mad the whole time. I said, so you going to be mad? Are you mad? Are you mad? What level of mad are you? He's like, see, you play too much. I said, I'm not playing. I'm dead serious. Like, this is a disagreement. We mad about something that we disagreed on. But I'm still your wife.
Facts.
Period. I'm not going anywhere, until we both decide that. So you have to feed me, you have to have sex with your wife, and you are more than welcome to go back to the basement. He wouldn't stay in the basement.
Yeah, of course not. I didn't gave you some. He like, I'm going to go ahead and lay up here.
He wouldn't even remember why we was mad. But that's one of the things that I learned about me early on.
They should teach that in marriage counseling.
Really?
I say they should teach that.
Oh,
yeah. They should teach that, to say that at the end of the day, it's like, how long do you want to be mad? Like, I'm one of them type of people that I don't like being upset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like I try to get back to happy. My whole thing is, how can I get back to happy? If it's a disagreement, it's just a disagreement. Let's laugh and let's get back.
Yes.
It's like that stuff don't be that serious to me.
And he couldn't and he said it in counseling. He said, I don't understand how she does that. And the counselor looked at me like for an answer. I said, because he's still my husband. So I don't understand why I wouldn't do that.
Facts.
Like I don't understand. It just didn't make, sense to me. And I was also the woman that I'm pretty agreeable. Now, let me clear that up for y'all real quick. When you vet a person, you're not going to be looking for somebody that you're going to argue with all the time.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. You're looking for someone whose lifestyle, whose standards and values, and even some way how they process information is a little bit like yours.
Facts.
So I'm not a disagreeable woman because I'm choosing the men that I'm choosing to engage with.
Yes.
I'm not going to choose somebody that we going to argue all the time. And I know that your personality and mine don't mesh, but because you find no, I don't do that. That's why I say women don't vet properly. I vet to the point it's like, okay, let me see if our lifestyles align. Let me see how he processed this. Let me see what he thinks about it. Let me see his circle of friends and how they view marriage.
Yeah.
Like I just taught a class Saturday called The Art of Vetting a Man. And I broke 20 things down that most women overlook.
Give me about 3 of them.
Well, one of them is what I just said. They don't vet their friends. They don't ask about previous relationships, not in a way of, so why y'all break up? No, they ask from trying to see if he was at fault. I'm saying ask, so what did you learn from your previous relationship? How would you have changed that? What could you have done better? If he says it was all on her, I'm out of there.
Yep.
Box my food up because I'm gone.
Yep.
And then another one would be to see, a lot of women want these men that are traditional men. You have to ask and inquire. While y'all talking about, I want a man that's going to take care of everything and da-da-da. And you mad because of you keep meeting 50-50 men? Because you are not vetting the man to see if that's what he is. That's why I said earlier, I've never had a problem with men wanting to take care of because I vet men to see if they have traditional values like I do. And when they don't, okay. It was wonderful. I got somebody I want you to meet. Because she not traditional either. She believe in pulling her weight. So y'all work well together, you know. So I believe in vetting. I believe in knowing who you are and knowing what you want. And then from there, you can get your core needs. We talked about that earlier, the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in that the way everybody else does.
Explain to the people what the 80-20 rule is.
It's typically if you get 80% of what you want, well, don't leave for the 20%. And I have a little different point of view.
What is the April Mason theology?
The April Mason theology is, if you give me 80% of what I want, but not the 20% of what I need, it's still not going to work. Because my core need, your core needs is in that 20%. Because the statement has been, if you have 80% of what you want and need are different. So if your presence, like there's nothing sexier than a man's presence that heals. Nothing that he's doing, nothing that he's saying, but his mere presence heals that little part of you that needs to heal. It's something about that. Well, I'm very aware that that man is going to annoy me at some point. I'm not looking at the fact that your presence heals as, oh my God, you're just so dreamy. No, I'm going to get on your nerves at some point. You're going to get on mine. But what happens is, because the core needs that I have to make me feel safe, seen, and heard, you have that, it'll make me have to, why can't you put the toilet seat down?
Yeah.
Why you got to chew like that? It'll make me allow me to be able to deal with it. He can do all of these things. But at the end of the day, what I need from him, he got it. He just happened to be a little bit messy, you know?
You know, that's good, because people are looking for perfection a lot instead of looking for progress and those core values of what that person truly needs from that individual. You said if his mere presence heals you, then how you gonna get upset about he throwing his clothes on the floor? You know what I'm saying? That's so petty. It's so petty to the bigger thing.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah.
But it's like, babe, so this is what we doing? Like, you put your clothes on the floor. Is this where you would like them to stay?
What do you think about that statement? You say his mere presence heals you. What about the fact that, what do you think about the ideology that we should all be quote unquote healed before we meet our purpose partner?
I don't believe that. I don't believe that, because if you needed to be healed before someone's sent to you, that means there's no room for God to work. If you're not used to a good man in your life, you won't know it until he shows up. And see, this is what I tell folks all the time. I say, yes, my content and information and courses, they're fantastic. But guess what? It's not until you meet somebody that you have to test out what Miss April taught you, and you have to determine, is it a red flag or if it's fear? I said, so all of this, I'm waiting and I don't want to get into anything until blah, blah. Okay. The moment you venture out and you get involved with someone, everything that you've been training yourself on and learning, you got to see if it's actually set in. I said, so whether it's my content or anybody else's, don't just sit there and hold it. You have to test it. I'm not saying you have to test it with everybody, but you have to test it. I said, and as a woman, if you have your femininity, your spirituality, and your sensuality all in place, that is your GPS. Because your spirituality will give you that discernment. And when I say spirituality, I'm not talking about church. People think they're spiritual because they go to church. But I said it earlier, and y'all gonna get mad at me, but I've been doing this a long time. The easiest women to get played are the church women. Those are the ones when I was coaching that would just have these horrible stories. And I'm like, girl, why are you over there at the Jesus house? Aren't you not?
Did you say at the Jesus house?
Yes. Aren't you not practicing what you're being taught? Like, what is it? Like, how are you having these horrible situations, but yet your Bible says something different, like about who you are. You say, my father. Would your father want you treated like this?
Facts.
Would your father even allow this man to even be in his presence? Like to say, no, sis, you ain't dating my daughter.
Right.
Why don't you value yourself like your father does? Right? And so I would deal with so much heartbreak, from women in church all the time. It was mind-boggling to me, because they thought that because they went to church that they were spiritual. Well, I'm gonna wait for God to send me a man. I'm like, you have no discernment, sis. You don't. because look at your pattern. You've been waiting and a man came along. I said, but because you're not accustomed to having good men around you on a consistent basis, the first time one comes, it's like, oh, girl, let me lock him in. But when you're accustomed to a thing, it's a part of your regular lifestyle. So I saw that all the time.
So you and I discussed this before, for the people in the back. You've been single intentionally until this season.
Yes.
What is this season for you?
I'm excited about love. And I've never said that publicly. I've been a great dater. Like, the reason why my dating academy was so successful, because I was in the vein of that.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I was at. Well, what happened was I wasn't interested in getting married. Not because I couldn't, but I realized now there was an assignment I had to complete.
Right.
And so they were like, what's the assignment? So here's the deal. My grandmother told us that she sold all of the property and land that my grandfather left. Now, mind you, what I'm sharing, I didn't know this stuff and why I was moving toward this way all of this time. So I was sent to visit family in another state in the Midwest. And I was like, oh, it's so dreadful here. Ooh, child, it's depressing, right? When I left, I had to go do Super Bowl. It was like 5 days I was gone. But in that time, another voice said, you got to go back. I'm like, okay, what do I have to go back to this depressing place for? I go back at the end of February. But mind you, in November, I was feeling, I know when God is leading me to do something. I felt like it was time to leave Atlanta. I just didn't know why. It wasn't there for me anymore. It was like 20 years, okay. Well, I go back to this city, to the Midwest, but a different set of eyes during that time. And I end up purchasing a home, not intentionally. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, why? It just felt right. I saw multiple homes, but I was looking for a home for my brother. And because I told him, you're a general contractor. If we buy some fixer-uppers, you can do all of this stuff with it. Because the homes were very inexpensive. But I got a text message from the realtor and said, April, this is the one. And I'm like, I got to go to the airport, but I went to go look at it anyway. And it was a lot of people there looking at the house. And I walked in and it just felt right. And I'm like, okay, it feels some sort of way. What is this that I'm feeling? When I was leaving, there was a ton of people there. And I texted the realtor back and I said, this is the one. And he said, well, it's going to be a bidding war for this house. And I said, yeah. I said, make it a cash offer. He said, are you sure? I said, yes. I don't know why I was doing this, but I was like, yeah. And then from there, he says, I'll do it if you're sure. I'm like, I just told you 4 times.
I ain't making this up.
Like, okay. Well, the seller came back and said, well, if she comes up to the asking price, then we might consider it. I said, I don't like that language. If I'm paying you cash for this house, it has to be an absolute.
Yep.
So I purchased the house. The next day, they accepted it, which was that Saturday. So the offer went on Friday. The next day, Saturday, they accepted it. Immediately after that, I heard a voice say, now you can get married. I didn't know what that meant. I'm like, huh? Because I wasn't really pressed because I had a fun dating life. I'm like, well, I can get married. And I sat in that. And 2 days later, the answer came. My grandmother, like I said, she said before she died, she made the mistake of selling all of the property and land my grandfather left for us. So our family didn't own anything. And I could not, being a married woman, take almost $200,000 out of my married household to go establish my legacy for my grandkids and my kids. It would have been 2 visions in the house.
Right.
I am the last Mason granddaughter with that last name.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done that as April, anybody else. So I'm like, this is crazy. So I'm sitting there on my bed and I'm like, okay. Am I sure? And sometimes you still question.
Yeah.
Well, when I went to the house, I got the keys. When I went to closing, I met my neighbor. She came over. She brought me a banana nut cake. Everybody knows that's my favorite outside of pound cake. And she gave me her name. She had to be probably in her late 60s, early 70s. And she said, well, here's a cake. Welcome to the neighborhood. And here's my phone number. She wrote her phone number and her name and her husband's name on there. Her husband's name is Bill Wells. Bill Wells is my grandmother's father's name. It was like the ancestors were saying, you did right. This is what you did what you were supposed to do. Because I was like, why am I making these moves in this little Hallmark town? Ain't nothing out here. It take me an hour to get to the airport. Like, what is this? But it was like the confirmation came when I looked at that paper and saw my great grandfather's name on that paper. I'm like, this is crazy. So it's like what you said. I had to go reclaim what we lost. And so I could not have done that as a married woman. Now, I've never been so excited about settling down. Like, I've never, as much as I do, and for other women, helping them, I've never been excited about me because it was something always keeping me from locking in. I met wonderful men, but now I realize I had to complete that assignment, if that makes sense.
When you think about, so let me ask you this. So you want to get married again?
I do. I think I'd make a bomb wife.
Why do you want to get married?
You know what? I understand the importance of marriage. I understand amplifying together. I understand, I believe our race is the only race that does not understand the benefits of marriage. We're the only ones.
Only ones.
That don't get it. So I've always understood that. I was the woman that said, I know what to do, so I'm going to put this information on the shelf until I'm ready for it, until I'm released to use it. But I'm going to share this information with other women, which is why we have thousands of women getting engaged and married in a year, because the information worked. I just wasn't released to use it. And no matter how great a man was that came my way, I couldn't lock in. I just couldn't. And now I totally get it. But marriage to me is so sacred to me. It's something that we have to leave what I call a love legacy. We leave money, we leave recipes, we leave trauma, but do we leave a blueprint for love? We're not taught to do that.
That's good. Let that settle right there. A love legacy.
Yes.
The reason why that's so important, the reason why that's hidden is because when I look over my own family, there was no model of love.
Yes.
There was no reference for love. It was just nothing. It was not like, oh, I want to love a woman the way my daddy loves my mom, and I love how it didn't exist. I had to reimagine. I had to rediscover.
Yes.
I had to tap into God, who is love, to extract his principles and read 1 Corinthians 13 and be like, love is patient, love is kind, love keeps no record of wrong. That type stuff, to be like, wow, this is love. This is deep. And then unpack the 7 types of love,
Yes.
and okay, this is love. Okay, I was focusing so much on eros and phileo love, which is friendship love, but there's agape love. There's just all these different types of love, and it's like, okay, now I really want to understand what it means when you truly say, I love you.
Exactly. I didn't have the blueprint that I could have had. Like, my mother, she wasn't a strong, independent woman. My mother was on the other end of the spectrum. She was more of the passive, but she was always feminine, though. She always have been. She just didn't utilize part of what comes with femininity, which is boundaries and self-love. So femininity is so much more than how you dress. Femininity has nothing to do with anything that you can actually put on. Femininity can't be bought at the beauty supply store. It's none of that. It's not, if a woman use a curse word, oh, she's not feminine. It's none of that. It's not etiquette. It's not decorum. It's not class at all. Femininity is like Mother Nature. We hear what Mother Nature doing right now outside.
Yeah,
right?
it's raining, it's thundering, and all that stuff.
But even with all of that thundering and lightning that it's doing and causing catastrophe and destruction, Mother Nature is still soft and gentle and will still provide for you, will still nurture you, will still, be that safe space for you. However, Mother Nature is also destructive. Mother Nature will also cause all kind of havoc. Femininity is dark. Think about when your most vulnerable moments are. They're at night in the dark. That's what femininity is about, vulnerability. And we get that at night. I don't remember what religion it is, but their symbol of the femininity is a jaguar because of how it moves in the night. And so we think of femininity as, oh, it's soft, it's pink, it's dresses and all. No, femininity has boundaries. You know, you can't just cross over these boundaries. Femininity is not weak. Femininity feels. We live in an unbothered culture right now. You know, femininity and being in your emotions as a woman is the key to a man's heart.
Yeah.
We have the emotions as the spirituality, and we lead you all to that. But how can we lead you to that if we're not it? So women have completely shut down that part of themselves to where it's now, well, I'm a good wife because I have all of these things. But the very thing that, in my opinion, you guys crave is that feminine part.
Facts.
That we have suppressed.
Yep.
So now you're trying to give him this paperwork. This is what you look good on paper. But if you're not in tune with your own emotions, feelings, your vulnerability, and being able to just, like I said earlier, I just break out and start crying for no reason. And how can you give that to a man when that's the thing he craves? He's not craving your paycheck. He's not craving your intellectual degrees. Those are added bonuses. Those are needed, but that's not what makes you a feminine woman. When the last time have you felt, sis? When the last time have you said, I really don't feel good? When somebody asks you how you doing, you didn't say, I'm fine. You actually went within and say, hold on, let me actually feel, how am I feeling before I answer this question? Why do you walk so fast in the store? What you in a hurry for? When was the last time you did self-care? And I'm not talking about self-maintenance. Self-maintenance is the outward. Self-care is the inward. When was the last time? So how can you give yourself to a man? Even Esther went to prepare herself to be before the king. She wasn't doing it strictly she wasn't doing it trying to get no degrees. When was the last time you actually went through, let me prepare like Esther did for my king? We're not taught that.
That's good. Hey, bro, I can talk to you all day.
Likewise, love.
Because my mind be going, I be like, wow, this is
I saw
dope.
you over there thinking.
Yeah, because I be thinking about just the process before the promise, to create that space. Because a lot of women right now, I can just hear them in the spirit typing. Men don't provide that space for a woman to become feminine. And matter of fact, you respond to that.
Your femininity isn't for a man, it's for you.
And that's what I want you to say.
And that's why I teach femininity separate from the man. So the women that were in my dating academy, we combined it. But overall, my message about femininity is it has nothing to do with my grandbaby has femininity, but she don't have no man.
Yep.
She bet not. But so femininity is for you first. It puts you in a position to get whatever you want from the abundance in your life. I always say feminine women are never broke. And the reason why is because if you can create a baby in your womb, you can create money on demand. Part of femininity is creativity. But a lot of times we're so far on the left brain with the focus and doing versus the right brain, which is being. That's why the book is Identity Switch, becoming the woman who gets what she wants, and not trying to use strategy. And that's what I see a lot now with content creators teaching strategy on how to get what you want. And I'm saying when you become that feminine woman,
that's good.
You naturally draw whatever you want to you. So sis, if you broke, you're not in your femininity. And you got to get to that. But I will say this. I'm just hitting the mic. I will say this, and this is for the fellas. Let me say this to you because I go hard on the ladies because I understand the power we have. But I got to say this to the fellas. If you have never experienced a feminine woman, you will mishandle her because she's a new energy for you. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, men are saying, I want a feminine woman who's X, Y, and Z. Well, if you haven't prepared yourself to receive her, because she's not going to have that drama like that, she ain't going to be going back and forth. She's going to walk away from your tail the moment you start that. Because we have to protect our femininity.
Yeah.
And so if you're used to drama and you're used to women being that strong, independent, pushing back all the time. You and your toolbox.
You don't think she don't care because she's not being combative.
Yes, and you don't have anything to pull from to be able to receive her. So I will say that to the fellas. Make sure you're prepared for what you're asking for. Because a feminine woman, she's submissive. One of the things that I hate is the submissive conversation.
Why?
Because see, femininity naturally acquiesce to masculinity.
There it is.
If I ever hear a man talking about women are not submissive, I already know you are not that masculine safe place for her. You are not that alpha dude that you think you are, because our bodies just naturally, when we enter the room, just naturally does that. I was in Olive Garden and there was my waiter. He was this big guy and his energy said, "Oh man." And I normally sit with my back so I could see the door. And he walked by me and I said, "Excuse me." I said, "I can tell that if something goes down in here today, you're going to make sure we all are taken care of." He said, "I got you, little lady." In that space, this stranger I didn't know had that energy. I was able to eat my food in peace and not feel like I got to watch everything.
What made you say that?
I felt him. It's a people don't understand. It's a feeling. That you feel. Like I tell people, don't take what I say. Feel me. You will feel the energy when I come in the room. So
what made you say that to him? Was it something that you felt like you was in an area that you should be alarmed or something?
No, it's as women, we have to protect ourselves, and we are targeted just because we have a vagina. We're always in protection mode. So for me to be sitting there just being a woman, that man, his energy said, "I got you," allowed me to sit back and enjoy all you can eat super salad and breadsticks.
Salad be going hard, boy.
It's that energy of a man that allows us to rest, because we're targeted every time we leave that. Y'all not targeted like that.
Yeah.
True enough, you're men in this world, but nobody's kidnapping you because of your sexual parts. Nobody is out here telling you are less than because you are a weaker vessel. Nobody's doing that to you. So we can be on guard quite a bit, but this is where you have to, as a woman, say, "I am safe in my body. I am safe in my environments." And you have to repeat that to yourself and sit still in that. I am safe is what you have to do.
So you got tons of courses that talk about this. Let's talk about, what are you offering right now? I said, do not come on the Dear Future Wifey podcast and not have a product available. You're like, well, we're still transitioning the site to this, and we're migrating from my old platform to this. I said,
he wouldn't let me do that, y'all.
I said, I don't care about all the nothing that. I said, because this is really, this is close to home for me.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this podcast is my personal journey, and I understand the power of a woman operating in her femininity is such strength.
Yeah.
A lot of times you have women that feel like the masculine energy is what protects them, but the feminine energy can disarm the person that you trying to feel protected from.
Absolutely. Very well said. Absolutely. And we just have to learn. I think if we've learned how to trust ourselves, that femininity, that spirituality, and that sensuality, if a woman gets so refined in those three areas, she's a force to be reckoned with.
Boy.
Because you have it all.
So I said, have something. Take one of your courses, do something. What course are we offering today?
Today, because of your platform, I think the one that would be most valuable is called Black Woman Reset: How to Reclaim Your Femininity. What
will people learn from that?
The main thing women will learn is, first of all, why their femininity has been blocked and why they haven't been utilizing it. Also, how to take down from the strong, independent Black woman role, as well as, I get it, ladies, I get it. But Miss April, I had to be in the role. See, here's the thing. You can wear a hat multiple ways. You never hear a man raising children say too often, "I'm mom and dad."
Too often, never. I always say, I got 3 kids. Nobody ever said Happy Mother's Day to me.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
if you did, I don't even curse, but you might get cursed out. I am not a mother.
Right.
But then Father's Day, as it comes around, people going to be like, people going to be posting, talking about, I need to say Happy Father's Day. I'm the father and the mother. And it's like, no, you're just the mother. You're never going to be the father. I'm never going to be the mother. I don't deserve Mother's Day as a single father.
And I don't know if you noticed, but a man never becomes over feminine because the mother isn't around the same way a woman becomes overly masculine, because we've had to protect and provide for ourselves. And I get it. However, there's multiple ways to wear a hat. You can still be that. And I'm in the course, I talk about how I learned how to do that with my own son and how I had to learn to stop yelling. And I watched my son's masculinity rise up and be more protectors when I sat back and became that feminine woman.
Oh, that's dope. You saw that transition.
I saw it. I was able to see it. And I learned how to put myself first. And I talk about that in the course as well, because I hear a lot of women say, my kids come first. Actually, your kids don't. You come first. And I learned that as an empty nester now, my kids are 29, 27, and 25. The worst thing I did was put them first and neglect myself, because when those kids start growing up, it's like a light switch. They don't need you no more. You're the ATM, the chauffeur. That's it.
Yep.
And so I was always my kids. But in the course, I talk about how we use our kids as our shield. We use our kids as the shield because we don't want to be hurt again. And then how can you be like Ruth or be like Esther and you don't get out of the house? I'm waiting on God to send me a man. Well, they went. These are scriptures that y'all are using, child. Why don't you get out of the house? Why don't you go where men are? So this course, it's 3 hours long, and you probably gonna start crying because you're gonna have these aha moments. But I did this one, especially at the height of the riots that we were having with George Floyd.
Yeah.
I did it at the height of that because I saw so many of our sisters on the front line fighting. And I'm like, sis, you can be a part of the movement, but not at the expense of your peace. You got to understand how your nervous system is affected. Your well-being is so affected when you are in that masculine energy doing. You can still be a part, but maybe not on the front line this time. We can be making sandwiches and bandaging y'all up while y'all go out there, and do what you do. And we step in if you guys get subdued, but we're not always having to lead the pack. We don't always have to be warriors, but we can still be effective. So I teach that. And I know, ladies, it's something that many of you may not want to hear because we're so programmed. And you know what, to be honest with you, your why of why you had to do it doesn't even matter. Where do you want to go? That's what a coach does. We don't go into the past. That's what the therapist does.
Yeah.
It's who do you want to be now? And
That's
so
good.
you have to make a feminine identity switch is what I call it. And you have to see yourself and stop living on the old version of you, because the old version of you got you to where you are. If you don't like your life, it's because of who you've been being. If you want something different, you got to become something different.
I'm going to drop a link in the description on this YouTube video. Man, let me tell you something. Because I love it when you tell me about the people, the testimonials that come about.
Yeah.
I love, one of my favorite parts of church back in the day was testimony service.
Okay.
So I always love when you, even while we come to the studio, you was like, yeah, one of my students that was in my course, they just got married. They just this. They just told me this. It's like, I love when it works.
What happened at the airport this morning when I was flying here?
That lady came up to you.
Yeah, I saw her see me, but I just kept going. And then about maybe 30 minutes later, I'm right when I'm about to board the plane. She said, Miss April, is that you? I said, yes, love, it is. And she said, I just got to tell you, you're amazing. Thank you so much. She said, that's my husband. He said, I told him that was you. He told me to come over here, and talk to you. She said, because of you and your course and your books that I read, I got my husband. I married him a year ago. And when people ask me what I do, I told you I'm gonna start telling them I'm in the business of helping women attract good husbands, because that seems to be what it is. Even though that's not what I teach.
Right.
I teach become the feminine woman, but it's just so happens that
the byproduct.
Yes. Yeah. So when they ask me, what do you? I help women get good husbands. That's what I do, but it's not in the way that you think. So we also have our All Things Feminine Social Club. They're not even allowed to talk about men in there at all. No man.
Talk negative or talk about
no, period. No relationship, no man talk. I teach femininity from a holistic standpoint. It's about you. No man talk at all in our organization about your relationship. Because what I find is women, they want to become feminine to get the man, not for themselves. So I don't even allow them to talk about it. And we have about on our Facebook, we have about 9,000 members, and we have our private paid membership that women go. They can't talk about men at all. No man talk.
We had a funny conversation. You get a lot of DMs asking about me. What they be saying?
Ooh, child, y'all listen.
Oh,
child.
Lord.
Listen, Linda, listen. Folks stay in my DMs asking, are you single? Are you really looking? Is he really doing this, or is he doing it because, he can monetize this? What kind of woman does he like? I said, why don't y'all DM him and ask? As I know, we don't really tell what we're looking for. When people say, what are you looking for? I say, somebody amazing. Somebody amazing. That could, it could be whatever that thing is. But yeah, they always ask, what is it that you want, and are you really serious?
1,000% serious. People saw this episode that really showed how serious I was, that I dropped January the 4th. I was like, how you said you was dating somebody nobody knew? Mm-hmm. I was dating this woman. We was going through premarital counseling. I wanted to go through counseling before I proposed, because I already had planned on proposing March the 18th. And so this is a person that was really, really serious about. And she just said she needed to go back to therapy, and she just didn't feel qualified to be a wife. And it was like, I couldn't do nothing but respect that, and I was like, you're more than qualified. But in her mind, she said, just allow me to work through whatever process, and she wanted to walk away from everything. But yeah, I'm extremely serious. When I did this podcast, it was for that. It was about me going through my own personal healing in front of the world. Mm-hmm. And I know that would be the main thing that's always asked and questioned. People like, well, are you so married to Dear Future Wifey that you want to stay single so that this can keep living on? I was like, I don't care about this. I do not care about this.
Okay.
I don't care about it to the degree that I would allow this to prevent me from getting married. Matter of fact, I feel the opposite. I feel the longer this takes place, the more it looks like a failure. You know what I'm saying? If it's 10 years from now, I'm 45, and I'm 55. Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm like, boy, get somewhere and sit down. Boy, you've been sitting up here doing this thing for 13 years looking for a wife. It can't be that hard.
Yes.
So I always look at it as the longer it becomes, the more it appears that I am unsuccessful in the very thing that I desire.
Right. Now, another question. Well, since people ask
questions, oh, Lord, she's going to flip the questions on me. Lord,
another question, my love. So, I just forgot my thought.
Thank you, Holy Spirit.
No, that wasn't the whole. That wasn't the.
Holy Spirit.
Now I got it back, because if that's the Holy Spirit, it brought it back. So, do you find it that it could be challenging because of who you are? Let me rephrase that.
I know what you're about to say.
Do you think people get caught up of the imaging of you versus who you are? They get caught up in the idea of you. Ideal.
Yeah, I think that would be a challenge. But then I also find that it can also be intimidating, because people assume, and if they would assume this, they'll be correct, is that the woman that I desire has to share this space with me.
Yes.
I don't want to be this person that, because I'm still going to have I'm still going to have this platform where we're still having these conversations and talks. I want my woman to be able to sit alongside of me, and we do this together. This is purpose work. So yeah, so when a woman hears that, they go, oh, well, I'm more shy. I'm more behind the scenes. I'm the person that I may be able to work behind the cameras or whatever. So I got Rihanna for that. I don't need y'all for that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, I want the woman operating with me. And they're like, well, but what if that's not my strong suit? What if it's not
then
this?
you're just not her.
It's just not the one. It's simple.
What's out of place will be replaced.
Say that one more time.
What's out of place will be replaced.
Boy, let me tell you something. They're right there preaching. We need that on the T-shirt. What's out of place will be replaced.
Now, another question.
Oh, Lord, Jesus, I'm flipping. Okay, go ahead.
I just want to ask this, and I'm asking these questions because
you people ask you that about me.
That about you, and then people in our space. People don't realize sometimes that we are humans.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we get comfortable and show our human side, people can be disappointed because they think you're supposed to be on all the time.
Yeah.
So are you prepared for that? Because I work with a lot of men. Now, I don't coach women one-on-one anymore, but I do work with a lot of men. And a lot of them are celebrity guys. And I realize why they can't seem to keep a relationship is because people get caught up in the idea of them. And when they show their real selves, you're not that sexy guy that we see on TV. You're really a nerd and you're really an introvert.
Yeah.
But they get afraid to show that. So they keep this imaging up because in their minds, it's like, well, this is what I do. And this is a part of me.
Yeah.
But it's not the biggest part of me.
So your question is what?
Do you think that someone would be disappointed because they're only after the man in front of the camera to see your quirky sides, your moody sides? And because people could say, well, you really ain't that. No, I'm her. I'm just her too.
Because the podcast is so authentic for me, like it was an episode I did with Danae a couple of weeks ago, and I'm cracking up, I'm laughing, I'm doing this. People that don't know me, they was like, oh, he's just laughing too much. He's immature to be doing an episode like that. And why is he doing that? But then she was like,
but you laugh.
I love to laugh.
You do? I mean, hanging out with you do.
So just think about it. So the reality is that's who I am.
Yes.
I'm that person on camera. I'm that person off camera. I am consistent. And so what happened is even with her, she was saying, had you been so serious, that interview wouldn't have lasted 3 hours. It would have lasted 15 minutes because we're talking about such heavy subject matter that I would have just fell apart.
Yeah.
And she said the reason why I want to interview with you outside of everybody else who reached out to me is because I've watched you. I've watched you interview my personal friends, and I know them, I trust them, and I knew that you provided a safe space for them. What I need is somebody that understood me and could see me. And she said, for the first time in my life, I felt seen.
See? And you know what? I always tell men that I was at an event, and it was a recently married couple, and the man asked me, what advice would you give me and my wife? We just got married. It was like maybe a week. And I told him, I said, make sure she's protected, provided for, seen, and heard. And I told her, study him like your life depends on it. Get so far down in his DNA to where you know him better than he knows himself.
There it is.
She broke down crying. And
there
he looked at her, he said, why are you crying? And she didn't even know. But I said, if any advice I can give any married couple, or especially the newlyweds, study that man to the point you know him better than he knows himself.
One of my favorite songs, and people who watch my podcast hear me say this often, is Fantasia's Teach Me.
I don't know if I heard that.
She says, teach me how to love you. Show me I'm willing to learn. Following every instruction, I'll be a scholar when we are done. Teach me what you need because I'm willing to learn.
That's powerful.
The song is called Teach Me.
I'm going to have to listen to that.
Oh, when I say that song, when I say I listen to it, and it's not even one of her most popular songs, but it's her most impactful song.
Well, you know what it takes in order to do that?
What does it take?
Selflessness.
There it is.
You can't go in looking at what you can get and looking at, let me see. It's kind of like, entertain me. Let me see what you're providing. Let me see what you're offering. If you are really trying to get to know someone, you have to pay attention to what's said and what's not said. We also, as women, have to get back to charm.
There it is.
Knowing how to use feminine language with men. Some say, we talked about it earlier, it's manipulation, but it's not. It's like, I know that a cat does not eat dog food. I'm not going to give that cat that. And then be mad because I want it to be the way I want it. Why won't he eat it? Well, that's not what it is. And to me, when I start really learning and understanding how men work, and with all due respect, I learned men are so routine and simple. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, everybody has their own little complexities and whatnot, but overall, it's not very.
There's some core things that all men just
across the board.
Yeah.
And women, I don't think today in 2023 they understand the power of feminine language.
Yeah.
And how to talk and say, stop it, and you didn't take out the garbage, and stop saying that, and say, honey, can you take out the garbage tonight before you go to bed? Instead of I'm mad he didn't take out the garbage. I asked him to. But
every time I ask you to take out the garbage, you never take it out.
Yeah.
He'd be like, I think I'm your child or something. Like, it's a different response. Like, who you talking to? He's going to automatically respond, who you think you talking to?
Right. And it's the art of feminine language. It's knowing how to leave open-ended questions. It's knowing how to listen to what he's saying and only address that in that moment versus all of that. We're going to get to the other stuff, but not in this particular moment. And I believe as women, we have lost the art of feminine language, charm, and witty banter. Because you say, I got game. It's not game.
She a game. She got some player in her.
It's not really not game. It's woman. It's woman.
April be like, listen, I would have brought you something had I known you were going to be on this plane. He like, well, hold on. And then I asked her, I said, so then what happens if by the end of y'all's trip, he would have said, the plane landed. He was like, so can I keep in touch with you? Can I get your phone number? Then what you say?
If I would have been interested, yeah. But if not, it would have. You'd have been like, enjoy your vacation. Because
how would you say it? So I'm finna be him. Hey, listen, I really enjoyed talking to you on the plane. You have such an amazing personality. I would love to keep in contact with you if that's okay. Can we exchange numbers?
Well, let me ask you this first. Is he making it romantic or platonic?
Right now, I'm just saying it the way I'm saying it. You got
and I enjoyed him.
Yeah, we was tripping out talking.
In that scenario, I probably would exchange numbers. Because remember, we're not saying if it's romantic or not. We just had great conversation. So me giving you my number is, you know what? It's networking.
How you gonna just throw networking? That man don't do nothing but clean toilets.
But here's the thing.
You don't need nobody to come do that for you. And you sit up here talking about networking. You
listen.
Put that on that man.
On the plane today, I was talking to the gentleman sitting next to me. He owned a lot of franchises. And
you want to open up a franchise?
No, but I'm a serial entrepreneur.
You're gonna need it for some sponsorship?
Maybe. But he got up. We had a really great conversation. His name was Doug. Shout out to Doug. His name was Doug. We had a really great conversation. He told me about his daughters. And I asked him, I said, why did you become, a franchisee? What started that? And he gave me his story. Because he started the conversation with me by asking while I'm biting my sandwich, did you bring me one?
Yeah.
So I just engaged him in conversation. And I believe sometimes we have to know that some things are just conversation. Everybody you meet won't be the one. If somebody wants you, they will come and get you.
So in that situation, you would exchange it because you saw value that can extend past the trip.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because he was like, well, if you're ever in wherever he's from, he did say that. But it was not in a romantic kind of way. It was more so I met a genuine individual and had a conversation. And I believe when people have been out of good dating situations for a long time, everybody they meet, they'll think, oh, man, is this God, Lord? He ordered a venti and I ordered a venti, child. And maybe it's the one. That's my husband. I don't believe that. I believe that I meet wonderful people all the time. And you never know who's going to be the one to connect you to who.
Venti, I ordered a venti.
Yeah, and you them
the caramel macchiato.
Yeah, caramel macchiato. Stirred, not this.
double pump of syrup. I had the double pump.
It's like, oh my God,
we ordered the same way. That's my husband.
Right, and so I'm not that type of woman. Unless a man says, I really want to get you to know you on a more personal level.
Say it.
If he doesn't say it, you are
if he
friend
doesn't
or
say
network.
it, don't assume it.
Yeah, if he doesn't say it, don't assume it.
That's good.
And
if
he
doesn't say it, don't assume it.
But Miss April, he did this. I said, that means not like, I don't care if you walk in here and hand me a bag of money as my friend.
You just gonna be like, thank you.
I mean,
deposit,
like, friend,
and be like,
you did this for me. Yeah. I wanted you to have this. I know you were doing X, Y, and Z. And, I wanted to give to your foundation. I don't think that is romantic?
When he does that, do you feel that it's even though you put in this little category, will that be a mental deposit into love? Meaning that if he came back around 2 weeks later and was like, listen, I really believe in you and I did this because of this.
Nah, don't get it twisted. You gonna get tingly when a man walk in here with a bag full of money, honey. Let's not get it twisted. That is gonna happen. But what it says to me is he's a generous man. And a man being generous is huge for me. That's on my list as well. Not generous necessarily, but and just with his money, his time, his effort. Yeah, that's huge for me. So if he came back around, you already checked off one of my things with the generosity, and said what you said. I would really love to take you out. Now let me vet him a little bit more, because a core need of mine is a generous man. But more so with his time, because my primary love language is quality time. So generosity in that area is huge. So you may have shown it to me in a monetary way, but let me see if on this other side, because if you can only do it money-wise, you still don't qualify.
Facts. That's real. That's real. I love it. April, no more questions. Don't ask me no more questions.
So do you want to have any more kids? No,
yes,
I'm just joking.
Actually,
Do you?
Yeah, I had my daughter was born in high school. Okay. 2 weeks before I graduated high school, and then I didn't have any kids with my wife. We were married for almost 10 years, and then after we divorced, the following year I ended up adopting my nephew, and then a few years later I ended up adopting my son Armani. I've never had a child in a traditional way, which is we had a kid with my wife and we, bring that child up together. So I say that that's something that I desire. If God had it planned for me to marry somebody that couldn't have kids or past the age to have kids, then
won't God give you the desires of your heart?
Yeah. Yeah, but then it's twofold. It's interesting when you say that, because he'll grant you the desires of your heart, but then he has placed inside of us that desire for a reason. So he's granted us that desire.
Absolutely.
So that's just a preference. It's not like if I don't do that, then I'll be like, well, she can't be the one because of this.
Well,
it's a desire.
Now you got my mind going, love.
Don't be trying to connect me, because
you do know I have an arsenal full of women that have gone through femininity training.
I rebuke you.
Did you just say you look?
But you can't.
Am I not on Dear Future Wifey? And I got a whole bunch of wifeys, access to a bunch of wifeys. We act up. I came with you.
She talking about.
That's my brain is
going through your database. Have you ever thought about having a matchmaking service?
I am a former matchmaker.
Are?
Yeah, I started my matchmaking service back in 2012, but I quit because women were too picky. I only work personally right now with men, because by the time a man gets to me and want to work his relationship part out, he's ready. Women, it was so hard, and I'm like, girl, listen, Linda. Listen, Linda. This list of 72 things, like, I only have 5 things on my list. 5.
You said they would have
They had like a list of 72 things, front and back. And I started noticing that the things on their list was trauma-based. It was like, because I went through this, I don't want this. Because I went through this, I don't want that. It was that. So I was a matchmaker for a while. Started in Atlanta 2011 or 2012.
Were you doing femininity coaching at the same time?
No, I wasn't doing it. I was inadvertently doing it.
So before you were focused on relationship, and then you start saying, let me reverse engineer it. I'm hearing some stuff that these women saying that's making them literally incompatible for the very thing that they desire. So then you reverse engineer it, and then you say, let's start at the root with these women.
Right, which is why I wrote the book Identity Switch, Becoming the Woman Who Gets What She Wants, because I noticed no matter if I was teaching them business, how to be feminine CEOs, whether I was teaching them how to date, it didn't get to some of them, because I'm like, this is the problem. No matter what I say to you, you don't realize you have to make a switch. So let me walk you through the steps of what identity switching looks like. It's nothing more than renewing of the mind.
Yeah.
But we can say those things, but people don't have practical steps to take. So there's a whole chapter just on feminine identity and what that actually means. So yeah, I focused there because once you get a person to understand they have to make that identity switch, they can get whatever they want at that point.
Well, listen, y'all need to go get that book and don't ask me no more questions. I'm finna wrap up.
I'm not. I got something in my mouth.
Leave me alone, April.
I'm just saying, you know, I have a track record of people engaged and married in a year. That is the track record. I'm just saying, you know, if you know, all you got to do is text and say, listen, what you got in your database, honey. You know, and they've been trained, you know, because you say we doing this because it's in your, you know, you want to do more feminine woman. That's why we doing this here podcast right now. So I'm just saying, if you ever decide to, you know, text me and say, hey, sis, what you got? I'm just saying, I have some women that are available. Thank you so much for having me today.
So you tell your people, they ask you all these questions. Now you just asked me publicly the answer to their questions,
I
right?
did.
So all their questions got answered, right?
Kind of, but I'll ask you the other ones off the camera.
Oh, Lord Jesus. All right, the whole new interview, part 2, behind the camera. LaTerras Uncut.
Yeah, that part. That part.
After Dark, Uncut. Listen, thank y'all so much for tuning in to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Make sure that you visit the description. There's going to be a link in the bio so you can go ahead and sign up for this amazing course that I done coerced April to re-release. So yeah, and thank you for doing that. Thank you, because I always want to provide value to my audience. I have such an amazing audience that's just they rocking with me.
Well, you know, your audience is so amazing that I don't watch a lot of stuff. I had not heard of you until the January 4th Heartbreak. People were sending me your stuff saying, Miss April, he need to talk to you. You need to sit down and talk to you. They think I'm the ear, the feminine ear. They always send the men that are hurting and broken. They're like, hey, Miss April, reach out to him. You really need to reach out to him. Like my DM was flooded because he just got his heart broken. Miss April, he could really use, you know, and he probably value talking with you. That's how I came across you. I'm like, what can I do?
Hey, why don't you come fix me?
Yes, I'm like, sis, he going through he's telling us. He already in his process.
Tell how powerful that is, the fact that I am communicating that which I am going through.
That's the part. That's why I'm like, he doesn't need me. Now, if he was still stuck and blaming everybody else, then we need to sit down. I said, but he's actually saying, this is what happened. This is what I am, but I'm still open to love. This is just a situation that did not fit, but I'm getting closer. So that's all. I'm like, he don't need to pay me all this money to come sit down because he said it. I said the hardest part is getting people to be aware. I'm like, that's what y'all pay me for, to help you become aware.
People be hiding, they be disguising. You be like, just be honest. Say where you at.
Well, you know, the most funny, the makeup artist, she tried me. Even the girls you had me talk to yesterday.
Yeah, in the Bahamas.
They think I'm going to be, oh, sis. So you're the makeup artist, and I'm putting you on blast, girl. We were talking, and I said, what makes you a valuable woman? Is what I asked her. She said, well, I'm a child of God. I'm a light. I'm this. I'm like, I said, oh, you general. I said, go deeper, sis. She said, what do you mean? I said, you just gave me what every woman gives me. It's the general. We all a child of God, so we all special, baby. What makes you someone's valuable wife? Why would somebody choose you to be their wife? And give me things that money cannot buy. Nothing that you've accomplished. Who are you at your core? Because that was cute what you just gave me. You Googled that. I want to know,
she said you
who are you? And she was like, you right, I got. She said, that takes work. I said, that's what I do. It causes you to have to go within because you're not accustomed to that. You're so used to thinking women, and I got to say this, that women, we do, and I was guilty of it too. We always think we're so fabulous, darling, until we're asked the hard questions like, what makes you valuable? And don't give me what you do, how many degrees you've accomplished, your good credit, your sex tricks, your nice body, and your pretty face. Take those off the table.
Oh, boy.
And tell me who you are. I did a tour, and that was the first question I asked every tour stop that I went. I said, y'all know me. Y'all paid to be here. Tell me who you are. And I made as many as I could, get up and tell me who they are, but only, I would say 99% of them could not tell me who they are. They told me what they did. They told me they were a mother. They told me about their career. They told me I'm God-fearing. They told me basic stuff. I said, now go tell me, take off the mask and tell me who you are. What makes a man want to marry you? And don't mention any of those things. And don't mention I can cook and clean. He can hire somebody for that. Yep. What do you bring to a man's life that money can't buy?
So that's
the work.
So that's your homework assignment.
That's the assignment, child.
God, dog. For my 8th time wrapping up the Dear Future Wifey podcast.
See how we do?
See, that's how we are when we get on the phone and talk. Because she done wore me out today. This is amazing. So y'all give it up for my homie, April Mason, y'all.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
this
you for
was
being
fun.
here. I had so much fun with you. So much value.
Yes, likewise.
LaDarian, thrusted suddenly into Child Protective Services in 2015. My nephew, Black, a boy. The likelihood of being adopted outside of kinship, slim to none. Armani, 16 years old, Black, a boy, with 5 years in the foster care system before I even knew his name. The likelihood of ever being adopted, yep, you guessed it, slim to none. While LaDarian and Armani were trying to survive and barely thrive in an overpopulated and underfunded foster care system, I was living my own life, doing well professionally. Having been a single father with a daughter who at that point was doing well in college, it was my time to live my life, right? Wrong. I felt unsettled, tireless, agitated. There are just too many of our Black children stuck in ambiguity and in the limbo of the foster care system. In 2017, I legally adopted my nephew, LaDarian. Fast forward to 2019, I had no ties to this other young king, but I felt God instructed me to adopt him also, and I obeyed. Starting over with parenting should have been enough, right? Working with various foster care and adoption agencies to help bring awareness to the countless young Black kings in the foster care system should have decreased my agitation, right? Joining the board of directors of Advantage Adoption, an organization that helps find permanent adoptive homes for children in foster care, should have led to some type of resolve, right? No, not at all. None of it felt like I had done enough. I now realize that every one of those experiences was laying the fundamental foundation for my life's mission, Kingdom Royale. Kingdom Royale will be a luxury, state-of-the-art home for foster boys. Our first location will be in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We will utilize the whole person approach that instills identity, empowers them to advocate for themselves, and enlightens them regarding new perspectives and limitless options that they thought were impossible. Though the young kings will attend the local public schools that are in proximity to Kingdom Royale, our at-home curriculum will broaden their worldview through participating in the arts, attending various cultural events, learning about and engaging in multifaceted discussions about current events and even relevant historical context, introducing them to gardening and landscaping and even caring for our animals on our farm and on-site stables. We just launched our Startup Capital campaign with the goal of raising $2.8 million. Now, why $2.8 million? Well, in 2017, I created a web series in which I performed random acts of kindness for targeting the homeless community. One of the most notable successes was that one of the videos went viral, garnering 28 million views. However, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't raise a single dollar to help in implementing a more sustainable plan for the homeless community. So throughout the years, with much remorse, I reflected on not maximizing that moment. I knew if at that time, just 10% of the viewers donated $1, we would have raised at least $2.8 million that could have really established long-term support for the homeless community, or at least started a long-term initiative to do so. This is my do-over. This is our new beginning. Together, we can attack this at the root by specifically helping our homeless Black boys who are already disproportionately represented in the American foster care system. I'm LaTerras Whitfield. I've been nominated for 3 regional Emmys documenting my work with the homeless as well as my personal adoption journey. Despite those accolades, the greatest award for me is truly providing the infrastructure for a transformed life. Visit kingdomroyale.com for more details. Crown a king and make a donation today.
I really enjoyed talking to April Mason today. I've been wanting to have this conversation about the power of feminine energy for the longest. I believe that unfortunately women have to lean more towards the masculine energy because men haven't been fulfilling their roles, but there's so much power in the feminine. Well, here's my favorite part of the podcast where I speak to my future wifey. Dear future wifey, I'm missing you like Case. Looking forward to the day we share the same space, grace, chase, nope, pursue. Doing the work before I do. Truth, you, transparency, love deposits, our currency. Dreaming, we're teaming, souls redeeming. Purpose fulfilling, purpose revealing, legacy building, protection. I'm shielding you from villains. Haters, we're dealing with them like they're children. Basically, I'm waiting on God and waiting on you at the same dang time. Your future hubby.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving.
Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.